Vayichan sham Yisrael eged ha'har kulanu ke'echad.
Chodesh Tov, a guten Chodesh. It's been a special zchut for me to arrange this very special program, where the first time in 2,000 years, chief rabbis, Rashi Yeshiva, Rabbanim, Mechanchim from around the world and from different hashkafot have come together for a day of Achdut. The uniqueness of this program is not just in the Achdut and not just in the Limud HaTorah, but the connection between the two. The Achdut in Limud HaTorah. Of course, we're connected to all Jews. There should be a special connection we have with Lomdei Torah and Yerei Shamayim. And that's what I'd like to speak about today, about the elusive concept of Achdut. It's something we all speak about, we all know the importance of, and we all work towards. But unfortunately, it eludes us. The concept of easier said than done applies here possibly more than to anything else we know of. I would like to speak about the importance of Achdut and to help quantify it, but mainly how we can achieve it and why this program is so important. Let's begin with the importance of Achdut. On the one hand, we are not meant to be uniform. We're meant to be different. In Hebrew, there's Achdut and Achidut. Achidut means uniformity. We're not meant to be the same. We know that we left Mitzrayim as 12 Shvatim and crossed the Yam Suf on 12 different paths, as we say in our davening, Hamavir Banov Bein Gizrei Yam Suf. Not the Yam Suf, just dry land, but the different strips of the Yam Suf. And this identity did not become erased through our time in the desert. We encamped by Shevet. Each Shevet had its own flag with its own colors. And when we arrived in Eretz Yisrael, we were divided by Shevet into the different portions of land. In fact, the Magen Avram quotes the Arizal, who takes this even further in saying that each Shevet has its own form of tefillah and connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In fact, this notion of differentness extends even further to each specific Jew. The Tosefta Meseches Brachos, the sugya that discusses that when a person sees a large gathering of the Jewish people, we say the bracha of Baruch Chacham Harazim. Blessed is the wise man of the secret, the wise God of the secrets. Why, says the Tosefta? She'ein partzufehem domin zelazeh, v'ein da'atam dome zelazeh. Hashem is able to create people who are different physically and different in the way they think. Millions, billions of people who've lived throughout the world's history. Different look, different fingerprints. The Yerushalmi connects between these two facets when it says, Kishem she'ein partzufehen domin zelazeh, kach ein da'atam dome zelazeh. It's not just two related phenomena. Just as we look different, we think different. If we were walking down the street and we met someone who looked exactly the same as we do, unless we had an identical twin, we'd be shocked. Why do we expect to look the same, to think the same? Rav Kook had a beautiful way of expressing this. He said, Hashem chafetz leman tzidko yagdil Torah v'yadir. How does each person learning enhance the Torah, make the Torah grow? Rav Kook wrote in Orota Torah, each person interfaces with the Torah differently. Each person has their own unique way of learning Torah, and that's what makes our lives so uniquely valuable. Makes us each an olam maleh. Or in the Hasidic interpretation of Bishvili Nivra Olam, Bishvil Sheli. Each one of us has our own path and are meant to have our own path. On the other hand, there is great significance in our being connected and seeing ourselves as one. In fact, there's an Isser D'Oraisa to separate from one another. Lo sisgodadu, says the Torah. And the Lashon of the Sifri, Parshas Rei on this pasuk is Lo tasu agudos. Elaheyu kulchem aguda achas. Don't subdivide into groups. Be all one group. And this is not just about avoiding machlokes and about generating shalom. There's an intrinsic, independent significance to our being one. As the Navi Amos said, Haboneh b'shamayim ma'alotav va'agudato al eretz yisada. God founded his group, the Jewish people, in this world. And this is, of course, the tefillah that we say in the Yomim Noraim. We daven that, Ve'yasu chulam aguda achat lasot ritzoncha b'levav shalem. Today is a day when we do more than just daven for this. We work towards this. And this is why there's such severity attached, associated with separating from the tzibur. Mishnah in the second parak of Avot, Hillel Omer, Al tifrosh min hatzibur. And the Rambam explains in Hilchot Tshuva Perek Gimel, Haporesh midakei hatzibur, af al pi shelo avar averot. Even if he didn't do any sins, Ela nivdal me'adat Yisrael, he separated himself from the rest of the Jewish people. V'eino osem mitzvos b'chlalan, v'lo nichnas b'tzaratan, v'lo mit'ane b'ta'anitan, ela holech b'darko ki achad me'goy ha'aretz, ki'ilu eino mehem, ein lo chelek le'olam haba. A person who doesn't see himself as part of the Jewish people, who doesn't function as part of the Jewish people, ein lo chelek le'olam haba. Because olam haba is something we achieve not just as individuals, but as individuals who are part of Klal Yisrael. Chazal expanded on the importance of Achdut in so many different avenues. For example, Chazal teach us that Hashem's assistance to us hinges on us being unified. Famous Medrash Rabbah, Sefer Bamidbar, says that in the days of David HaMelech, they knew Torah very well. And David HaMelech himself, the author of Sefer Tehillim, davened for them. V'achar kol hashevach hazeh. Despite all this, yotzim le'melchama v'noflim. There would be people who would die in the wars. In contrast, the Dor of Achov. Kulo ovdei avodat kachavim hayu. They were all ovdei avodah zara. But because they were unified, they would go out to war and win. In fact, the Medrash writes in Bereshis Rabbah, Gadol hashalom shafilu Yisrael ovdim avodat kachavim v'shalom b'neihem. Amar hamakom kaviyachol eini yachol lishlot. Hashem says, I can't control them. I can't beat them. I can't cause them to lose when they're ba'achdus. Kaviyachol eini yachol lishlot b'hem kevan sheshalom b'neihem. Not just in war, but in times of tzara when we daven. The Gemara in Menachos talks about a tanis, and it says, Ein adam yotzi yedei chavaso ad sheyihu kulan ba'aguda achas. We're not yotzi until we're all connected, and that's why before davening in Yom Kippur, we say that anu matirin lehispala lima'avaryonim. We talk about davening together with the sinners, because that's how we approach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And of course, we know the last bracha of our Shmoneh Esrei. 3 times a day we say, Sim shalom tova uvracha achein v'chesed v'rachamim. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael amecha. Barchenu avinu. Kulanu ke'echad. We turn to a father. What does the father want to see? His children unified. Bless us, our Father, all as one. The Sefer HaChinuch summarizes this in his writing on the Isser Nekama. Uvihiyot shalom ben anoshim. Yaseh Hashem shalom. When we create peace between ourselves, Hashem makes peace for us. Achdus is important also for God's Shechina being amongst us. Vayihi Shurin Melech b'Yisasef Rosh Hayam Yachad Shiftei Yisrael. Says the Alkut Shemoni, Kishi Yisrael Shavin Be'etz Achas Milmata. When we find each other, our common conversation down here, Shmo Hagadol Mishtabeach Milamala. Shimon Bar Yochai gives the famous mashal of 2 boats being connected with each other. Someone can stand on the 2, 1 foot on one, 1 foot on the other, but when they separate, there's no place kaviyachol for the Shekhinah to rest. Rav Kook wrote beautifully in his Siddur about the introductory words we say on Shabbos before Yishtabach. B'fi yisharim titalalu v'divrei tzadikim titbarach u'vilshon chasidim titromam u'v'kerev kedoshim titkadash. The yisharim, the tzadikim, the chasidim, the kedoshim. U'v'makalot rivivot amcha beit Yisrael. Berina yitbar shimcha malkeinu b'chol dor v'dor. Says Rav Kook, the highest level is when the Jewish people gather to give shevach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu together. And last but not least, and most appropriate for today, Kabbalas HaTorah hinges on all of us being there together. Shmot Perek Yutet, Pasuk Yud Aleph, Hashem tells Moshe that the Jewish people need to be ready for Har Ma'amad Har Sinai. They have to cleanse themselves. V'hayu nechonim liyom hashlishi. Be ready on the 3rd day. Ki b'yom hashlishi yereid Hashem le'enei kol ha'am. On the 3rd day, Hashem will appear in front of all the people. What is all the people? The same Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, who we saw before, speaks about the importance of us being the Achdus, says, Ilu hayu Yisrael, chaserim afilu adam echad. Even if one Jew would have been missing, lo haisa hashchina nigleis alehem. The Shechina would not have appeared to them. And later on, he uses the phraseology of im niskansu kol hakol. We have to gather together as we are today. We know that later on the Jews answered and said, Vayan kol ha'am kol echad shmot perek chav daled vayomru kol hadvarim asher diber Hashem naaseh. Vayan kol ha'am. The Sefer Chassidim says, Ilu haya echad mocha. If one had objected, lo nitna Torah. We all had to accept it together. And most famously, the title of today's program, Shmot Perek Yutet, when the Jews first arrived, it wasn't just the moment of Ma'amad Har Sinai, but even the arrival had to be together. Vayisu merefidim, vayavo midbar Sinai, vayachanu b'midbar, all Lashon Rabin, but then repeated and now in B'Lashon Yachid. Vayichan, vayachanu b'midbar, vayichan sham Yisrael neged ahar. Famous words of Rashi that are the slogan of this program, ish echad, b'lev echad. Not just everyone there, not just all together, but of one heart. And that's why this program is so appropriate, specifically today, on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, thousands of years later. Throughout the year, we learn and we value Torah separately, and sometimes even with conscious separation. As we approach the day of Matan Torah, on the day when we first arrived at Har Sinai, we come together to learn and value Torah together, so that we can be even more worthy of receiving it. Why is Achdut so important? Why? The Maharal, in his Drashos al Torah, on the words Vayichan Yisrael, he says, She'i efshar li Yisrael lekabel haTorah shehi achas, rak kasher heim gamkein echad legamrei, ki kol davar Achdut lo ye'ot ki im la'asher hu gam hu echad. The Torah is a unified idea. The Jewish people can't receive it unless they are unified as well. On a deeper level, the Maharal in Gur Aryeh on the pasuk of Lotet Godedu tells us, the Jewish people are one mitziyut. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one mitziyut. We cannot relate to the oneness of God and the oneness of His Torah unless we are one and unified as well. The Ritva already spoke about this idea. The pasuk of Lotet Godedu begins, Banim atem la'Hashem Elokechem, etc. Lotet Godedu. What's the connection between Banim atem la'Hashem Elokechem and Lotet Godedu? The Ritva writes beautifully in his Pirush and Yevamos Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis on the sugya of Lotes Godedu. Bani matem la'Hashem Elokechem, kevan she'atem bnei av echad ve'el echad, roi hu lachem shelo ta'aseh agudos uki'ilu yesh kan shtei toros v'shtei elokus. We represent God in the Torah in the world. When we are one, we represent that oneness in a true way. But when we're bifabricated, when we are separated, it implies that about the Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well. And this is why, in Divrei Hayamim, Aleph Perek Yud Zayin, the Navi writes, Umi ke'amcha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. This important pasuk, the Gemara in Brachot Avav tells us, is what Hashem has in His tefillin. Hashem's oneness and our oneness. Or as we say in Tachnin, Shomer goy echad, Shorer she'eret am echad, Va'al yovad goy echad, Hamiyachadim shimcha Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem echad. Or as we say in Mincha, Ato echad, V'shimcha echad, Umi ki amcha Yisrael, goy echad ba'aretz. Or as the Maharal says, V'lechibur hazeh I efshar she'yeh lo pirud klal, V'chiyeh shinui la'amitat atzmo. The Maharal in Netzach Perek Yud Aleph. Can there be a separation in God? Just like Ato echad and Hashem echad, we need to be echad. And chas v'shalom, when we're not, it's a chilul of that kedusha. And this is how we can understand the interesting formulation of the Haggadah regarding the Rasha. Lefisha hotzi es atzmo min haklal kafar be'ikr. He's a kofar be'ikr. So many say it means the ikr of Klal Yisrael being one. But one can say he's kofar in the ikr of Hashem's oneness, because we represent God's oneness in this world. Or as Rav David Tebel wrote in his Beit David, Kasher ha'oved avodah zarah hu kofar ba'achdusa yisbarach hu mishatef lo davar acher. Just like a person is oved avodah zarah is kofar in the oneness of Hashem. Kikoach avon hamachloket upirud halavavot bein anshe ha'uma ha'yisraelit hu etzem ha'kfira be'achduto yisbarach. The separation amongst us is parallel, implies a separation of God's oneness. We all know this. We all value the goal. How do we accomplish it? How can this program help? So I'd like to share two thoughts about Achdut. One, about Achdut of the Jewish people as a whole. And the second, what this program is about, the Achdut of the Jews who are Yerei Shamayim, Lomdei Torah, and who have come out for this program today. Let's begin with the entire Jewish people. The Medrash writes in Vayikra Rabbah that the Jewish people are like a whole group of people on a boat. One person is drilling a hole under his seat. Everyone else says, how can you do that? You're going to drown us. He says, it's my seat. We're all in the same boat. We all have the same fate. Unfortunately, we come to appreciate this sometimes only when people threaten us. We should realize this all the time. And maybe Hashem causes the outside world to threaten us so that we should realize the need to see ourselves as one. The Yerushalmi goes even further. Regarding the Isser of Nakama, the Yerushalmi compares it to a person whose right hand cut his left hand by mistake. Would the left hand then respond and revenge by cutting the right hand? Of course not, because we're all one. It's an existential idea, not just of a shared fate, but of being one. Or as the Maharal writes in Netivot Olam, Yisrael heim am echad mitzad haguf v'chein mitzad haneshama. Nishmotei shel Yisrael dvukim be'am echad. V'davar zeh me'ached Yisrael mitzad haneshama legamrei. One existential body, physically and spiritually. And this is the first thing we hear about Moshe Rabbeinu. We're told, Vayhi bayamim hahem, the first action he takes, Vayigdal Moshe vayetzi el achav, Vayar besivlotam, Vayar ish mitzri maka ish ivri me'achov. It doesn't just say what he saw, an Egyptian striking a Jew. It says first, Vayar besivlotam, he saw their pain. And Rashi says, Natan eino v'libo lios meitzer aleim. He put his eyes and heart. He connected with it. He felt their pain. Rabbi Cheskel Weinfeld has a beautiful pshat where he connects this with Natan eino v'libo of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the end of Perek Beis, the Tzaras HaShibur in the beginning of Parshas Vayechi, that the Jews closed up and couldn't feel each other's pain, which is part of the Tzara of Galus. The Goyel is someone who can feel the pain of the other Jews. And we know Moshe Rabbeinu's words after the Cheder Egel, Shmot Perek Lamed Beis. V'atayim tisa chatatam v'yimayin mecheni na misifrecha asher katavta, the chutzpah to say that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Tzot writes in his introduction to the Avnei Miluyim, how could Moshe say this? V'yimayin, if you won't do this, lama li chayim. Kol kach hayta nafsho kshura b'nefesh klal Yisrael. Moshe was someone whose soul felt his soul so connected to the rest of the Jewish people. The Shari Yosher, the great Rav Shimon Shkop, highest level of Gemara learning in the Sefer that epitomizes the learning of Gemara B'iyun in the introduction. He speaks about this universalistic, existential definition, and he says, it's only a low, crude person who sees their eye as limited to themselves. He says, a healthy person sees their existential eye as connected to the entire Jewish people. He continues and says that the healthiest person sees their eye as including all of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's creations, which is why Hillel said, but because if I only see myself as myself, what am I existentially? And Hillel said, as the Balatanya explains, all of these creations are the creations of Hashem. To appreciate them, to connect to them. And this is, of course, for all Jews. A person should see themselves, not just as sharing a fate with all the Jewish people, but as existentially connected as one to all of them. But the second idea I want to speak about is how we relate to other B'nai Torah and Yerei Shamayim. And sadly, sometimes, the people we're most similar to are the people we feel furthest from. And maybe we need to emphasize that distance to sharpen our individuality and differentness, and that is understandable. But what's critical is that we choose to focus on how we're similar. Sometimes exactly the same. In fact, even more than that. We can do this by learning from each other and appreciating each other. Beginning of the fourth parak of Avos, Ben Zoma says, Eizeu Chacham, Halomed Mikol Adam. The respected one is not who others respect, but who shows respect to others. The rich one is not the person who has things beyond himself, bank accounts, possessions, but who appreciates internally what he has. The Gibor is not someone who can control others, but who can control himself. And the Chacham is not the person who knows it all, but the person who learns from everyone. This should be an important slogan for us in seeking to learn from everyone, and for sure from all Lomdei Torah, and for sure from all Gedolei Torah. And we live in a time where we have such access. Do we take advantage of the ability to learn from all of the Lomdei Torah and Yerei Shamayim that are out there? Or are we not the wise people Ben Zoma envisioned? And the truth is, within the Haggadah, we hear about how Rav Elazar ben Azariah couldn't convince the other Chachamim of his generation, Ad Shedarsha ben Zoma. That's why I feel Kulanu Chachamim, Kulanu Nevonim, Kulanu Zkenim. We have to learn Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim because there's always what to learn. The question is what we choose to focus on. David HaMelech taught us in Sefer Tehillim, Chaver ani l'chol asher yireucha u'leshomrei pikudecha. I'm automatically a friend with everyone who fears you and keeps your mitzvahs. If that's what we value most, we should have a natural kinship with people who value this. And we feel this when we gather together with other Jews to celebrate Torah and mitzvahs, like at the Siyam Shas, the wonderful event arranged by Achdus Yisrael. When we gather together to share those goals, we're emphasizing that, and we feel this relationship. We should be focusing on that all the time. Do we not see ourselves as chaverim of all those who fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu and keep his mitzvahs? Do we choose to focus on how we're similar? Do we choose to focus on the good and not on the bad? Do we focus on the good in ourselves and only the bad in others? Or do we focus on the good in others and seek to improve ourselves? Do we choose on a day like this to come from this, to appreciate how much there is to learn from each other and how much we share with each other? Because we all value the same Torah. And if we don't appreciate that it's the same Torah, it's not our Torah. We don't have the right to receive it. And this, of course, is the famous tefillah of Rav Elimelech Milezhinsk. People know the beautiful Avram Fried song, but let's start in the backdrop. Save us from the kinah that keeps us from appreciating each other. Adarabba. It's a thing, it's hard, that's what we have to daven for. Put in our hearts that we should see the ma'alos of each other. And then we continue. And strengthen our connection of love with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because the only way we can have a kesher of love with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is if we feel connected and appreciate his brewing. How do we come to appreciate Hashem? The Rambam says, Perek Beis of Achdus Torah, through his creations. If we can't appreciate the Torah that others learn, how can we appreciate HaKadosh Baruch Hu? If we want to appreciate HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how can we not appreciate his creation? Says 2 times in the 6th Perek of Avot, Ohev es hamakom, Ohev es habrios. If you love Hashem, you appreciate all of his creations. If you love his Torah, you appreciate all those who learn Torah as Yerei Shamayim. And that's the program that we have today. Baruch Hashem, the situation is improving. And Emir Hashem will soon be able to emerge from our isolation. Last week, Yeshivat Hakotel opened, and Yeshivot all over the world. Lot. Let's commit ourselves to come out of isolation differently than the way we went in. Let's come out seeing the beauty in those carrying 2 hadassim for Shabbos and not burning those same people for their shortcomings. Let's take advantage of this program. Let's use it to come together more as Lomdei Torah and Yerei Shamayim. We will and should remain different. It's how we're supposed to be. But let's see ourselves as different shades as opposed to different peoples. Let's see ourselves as part of the broader Jewish people. Let's see ourselves as part of the tzibur of Lomdei Torah, B'nai Torah, and Yerei Shamayim. Let's be able to see ourselves as one, work together and connect together. This program was very challenging to put together. And I thank those who transcended the differences between us to come together. And I encourage those who did not join this time to come together for the next time. And let's encourage all of us that this should take place. This will, in Mirz Hashem, help us connect the rest of Klal Yisrael to Torah and mitzvahs when they see God's one people, all sharing, emphasizing what we share, even though we dress different and have different darkei alimud and different hashkafos. We all share the core. We all know that this is what Hashem wants. Let's show him that we all appreciate our relationship with each other because we appreciate our relationship with him. And through this, we'll be able to bring the final Geula. I wish everyone a Chodesh Tov, a Guten Chodesh, a Chag Sameach, a Moadim L'Simcha, and a Guten Yom Tov. And I look forward to seeing everyone. L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim Habnuya. And in Mirza Hashem, we should continue these Achdut programs. Thank you to all those who helped put this together.